just briefly introduce stuff. I mean, my name's Brian Johnson. Now describe myself as the quiet coach, and I'm really from a background of working in financial services and spending 30 years being mostly frustrated in the work environment and struggling to be the real me, because the expectation I needed to be more of an extrovert to succeed. And over the last few years, I've really been on a bit of a transformational journey, learning new different skills and realizing how I can be more successful just being an introvert, and noticing the strengths I have and finding ways to ensure people appreciate those. And I've changed really direction, and I'm now focused on really making a difference in people's lives through what I do. And today it's really, the focus is on this week's workshop. It's really around making your mind work for you, because we all hear a voice in our head. As an introvert, we're often quite creative and inventive, and our thought patterns can create amazing conversations in our head. And it's really noticing the power we have to create amazing conversations and thoughts patterns, and how we can choose what voice we listen to and what direction those thoughts go into. And here's a question: who decides what your internal voice is saying to you? Is it just allowed to run wild like a toddler in your mind, or is it more structured and sitting down and going, okay, this is the thought pattern, this is the choice I can go down the worst case scenario or the best case scenario. So for me, particularly thinking about doing these workshops, is sort of, what if nobody turns up? What if nobody likes the message I got saying? It's very easy to get drawn into an energy draining thing and reach the conclusion that I'm wasting my time. But then it's just catching those thoughts and going, okay, what am I gaining from being here today? I always find when I'm talking through my thoughts, I learn something myself, and just notice how I constantly becoming more effective in catching my thought and getting my voice to work for me as we go forward. And that's really the starting point. It's really noticing our conversations and being able to capture those conversations at the starting point. And it's really thinking about a simple goal, a simple aim. What do you want from your inner voice when you're sitting there enjoying being alone? What do you want your inner voice to be saying to you? How do you want it to be helping you go forward? And worth jotting down some thoughts. And the key here is to avoid negative words. So, for instance, if a negative statement comes to mind, that, I feel overwhelmed by lots of conversations, nobody's going to like what I'm going to say, just think how you can flip that. Because just think about the situations, whether that has actually been true in the past. Think about, actually, there is one person who really appreciates me. There's one person who listens to what I say, and it does make a difference. And it's thinking about, when I feel appreciated, this is what I do. This is what I want my inner voice to be telling me. Just think about the conversations you've had in your head to head today. Think about what was going through your mind immediately before you joined. What was your inner voice telling you? Was it telling you, this is going to be really exciting, something to look forward to? Was it going, negative? And notice the different emotions it really creates in you. It's something that's quite powerful. Sit back and go high level. These are the things you can do. But underlying that is understanding what is driving your feelings and emotions, and where your strengths are. What are your strengths? It's not telling yourself, I can do this, is in what are my strengths? I can listen, I can observe, I can learn, I can simply enjoy. And actually, people sometimes appreciate the listening voice. Me, I appreciate when people make the effort to attend these workshops, and for me, that just says I'll have something worth the saying. And if you want to add anything in the comments, you want to say something. So you want to feel confident and empowered. That's really great. So it's really thinking about what makes you feel confident and empowered. And thinking about how you are in control of the voice. So when your inner voice is speaking to you, how can it make you feel confident and empowered? When you're looking at the questions in front of you, what is there? What is there that actually thinking? So positive affirmations are a great starting point. How do positive affirmations make you feel inside? I can do this. I've done this before. So affirmations are a great starting point. And thinking about inner voice, it's thinking about then moving on to, I've done this before, I can do this. And then actually, I can remember when I did this. I remember when I was successful. I can recall the events. Positive affirmations are the first step in creating change, and it's just getting the focus on actually I've done this before, therefore I know I can do it. I don't need that negative thoughts. Knowing and clear on what you want to do. So when the voice starts going down negative route, notice your internal, it's noticing your internal emotions and going, oh, this is how I feel. I want to feel nervous, angry, frustrated. I want to feel happy, relaxed. Sometimes it's being able to break the states and know what will be different when you're in control. So if that makes sense, and then it's really thinking about how you really take control. How do you replay conversations in your head? Do you create conversations in your head? Now I find sometimes, frustrated about things, and why is this not working? Why is that going wrong? And sometimes I find myself saying, oh, everything's going wrong today, and it's a habit that's constantly working to break, and actually thinking, oh, it's never everything that's going wrong. It's never everything, because actually what's gone right today, what's okay. Let's take a step back and see what difference means. What can I do differently? And it's really thinking, taking control, and understanding actually we have great strengths. The questions are really, where are my strengths in what I want to do? Who's deciding the direction I can do? What's that thought pattern I am breaking today? And it's really taking that a step forward. The inner voice can change. It's a voice we've created, it's a voice we nurture, a voice we build. We can choose. Every day there is a crossroads when we're going through our thoughts about things we're doing. Sitting here this morning, finishing my work on this presentation, it was really thinking about, is our thoughts? Will anyone turn up? Will anyone listen? I think actually, I am really learning just reflecting this. It's a great way, I find, I gain so much from purely reflecting as I am writing these weekly workshops. It's almost my own personal therapy session, doing the preparation. I do it once and then I repeat it again, and I'm reinforcing the changes I want by repetition, taking control of the direction things are going. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey, because to be honest, 4 years ago you wouldn't have found me willing to do this. I was constantly avoiding public speaking. I'd be tied up in knots. Someone who struggles with a stutter, a stammer, I was avoiding anything, and my palms would be sweating, I'd be dripping blood, I'd be super nervous. But having learned to change my inner voice, I can sit here and feel quite relaxed and thoughtful, because I have taken control. I decide what was going to break the pattern of my thoughts, if that makes sense. And it's always a key question: what could be different if I chose my internal voice? My internal voice being positive, creative. Is it my imagination creating positive impressions? I do look and realise we live in a world of a lot of negativity, and being able to take control of those thoughts and knowing when to change the right direction can be quite important. Where do you see your strengths? I've noticed when I've applied my introvert strength effectively, I actually don't have to say very much. Sometimes a look is enough to let people know that I either approve or disapprove of what they're doing. We don't have to have a long discussion around it. Particularly, these days I find being a stay-at-home parent, I find that with my kids, I don't have to raise my voice to them. I don't have to shout. I can let them know what I'm thinking without actually saying very much. And when I want to encourage them, I can find a quite encouraging voice and supportive voice. And it's noticing that actually that is my strength. The strength is the power in quietness, the power in being an introvert. It's so much stronger than the power of an extrovert. An extrovert exudes all the energy, and finding ways to enjoy that and simply being an introvert and expressing your power in a way that absorbs and reflects all the extrovert energy. Powerful tool. It's really knowing what is driving you forward. Let's think about creating change. It's finding the patterns you want to change, the differences you want to make going forward. There's people who say, oh, right, the extrovert would jump at doing, say, a 30-minute workshop, that's far too short, I must do at least an hour and a half. But for me, I know that talking for 20 minutes is really where my limit is, and that's my energy level, because I know it's not my natural environment. And I've also learnt how to work outside my natural environment, and knowing my limits, my internal voice. I can do this for 20 minutes and that is what I enjoy, and I can then reflect on how it's gone. You can always look back and go, oh, I wish I'd said something different. I wish I'd structured it slightly differently. And that's the learning we apply for next time. That's not how we beat ourselves up. It's really thinking about what we do differently. I'd love to know if you've got any particular thoughts at this moment. For me, it's always thinking about what am I learning. So every day I'm learning something different. I'm looking at this and thinking, oh, yes, that's an interesting thing to think about and delve into more. I'm on a constant journey of learning and developing, and I love the feedback I get from people, and I love to listen and learn constantly because self-development is a great skill. And that's using my introvert strengths of creative imagination and critical thought patterns to actually go, oh, that's something to think about. And why do I really believe that? And that's really an area I'm really focused on. And for me, the biggest lesson I've learned over the last few years is really to focus on the language we are using, particularly when we're talking to ourselves. Notice the negative language. Notice the use of words like but and should, and explore different words which can create a different feeling and open up new opportunities. Because it's very easy to take on the values of others through shoulds. It's very easy to close off discussion, debate, and thoughts by the word but. And just thinking about one difference you can make. I do find, for instance, I often find myself noticing the repetitive use of words, and noticing particularly when I say but or should. I just mentioned bigger. And I really have that thought, oh, why did I say that? How is that helping me? And finding those small wins I can do each day has been so helpful to me as I continue on the journey and experience. So I would love to know your thoughts. You can contact me afterwards. So as I said, often my limit of talking is around 20 minutes. And so these sessions is 30 minutes is a maximum, because that's where my energy level sits. So if you would, if you want to contact me direct, you can send me an email at brian@brianpaul.com. You can use the QR code in the corner to book some time. Harry, I'm always interested in feedback. If you want to say